your generation.
The generation is what? Every time a child is being born. So as long as you got humanity on the earth, you got a what? A Sabbath day. That is the threat that homosexuality poses to this planet. If you allow the homosexual to have his way, life would cease to exist because there'd be no more what? Procreation.
Right.
No more children being born. That's what, so they don't never visit that when they visit the rights of the homosexual. The homosexual done work, he has devised a plan to get around his inability to have children. Now they doing what? Adopted, but generally what? Black children. Keep going. Go ahead.
The same thing, right?
Verse 14.
14. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defieth it shall surely be put to death.
So we got some brothers that don't keep the Sabbath no more. And they said they did that already. So this church in the wood, we're going to keep reading, but I'm just trying to show you. These are all the attributes or the characteristics of the church that started in the wilderness. We're going to show you. Keep going. What verse was that?
That was 14.
Keep finish 14.
Okay.
Skip down to 16.
16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
What does perpetual mean?
Forever.
Perpetual means it ain't gonna never end.
Right.
You walk up in one of these churches and these cats are so philosophical, the guy smell good. He got manicured nails. He got the best car in front of the church. And he tells you that the Sabbath's been done away with and you go with it. Because he hit you with the pretty Ricky. Y'all ain't catch that. Can't tell you. Well, my dad, the Bible says, let God be true and every man
Be
work.
a lie.
Keep going.
Okay, wherefore
17.
17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
How long is forever, y'all?
Forever.
That means you don't never, that's et cetera, dot, through infinity,
Amen.
right or wrong.
Amen.
Now check this out. He said it's a sign. So that means people say this, and they say, well, it don't matter what day you worship God. Guess what I say? You're right. You should worship God every day, but he got one specific day that he said it's a what? It is a sign day.
Yeah.
So when you show up on the Sabbath day, Brother Dallas, it's a sign that you plug with who? The Creator. Who is the Creator? The one that walked through the cornfield.
Yes.
And they said, well, how come the cats doing that which is not lawful on the Sabbath? Jesus said what? I am the Lord of what? The Lord of the Sabbath.
That's right.
He was taking himself back to the second chapter of Genesis when he rested on the Sabbath day. Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
Folk don't want, you have to evolve in life. You don't believe it? You got some people in here that work regular jobs. They used to be a scrub on the job. They hung around long enough, they fired all the people, they got a promotion. Then they hung around a little while longer, then you became a manager. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It is, you have to evolve, even in your walk with Christ. Amen. You can't be drinking milk your entire 40 years in the church. Yelling, screaming, jumping, running in a circle. That don't do nothing for you.
Amen.
Hold on.
You get a good feel-good moment. You go home. One of the games I like to play, Dallas, on Sundays when me and Juan is hanging out, I always ask church folk when I see them, yeah, you went to church today? Yeah. We had a good time. What was the message? I forgot. Don't I do that one? Yeah. You know I do it. I learned that from the Bakers. Be an agitator.
What you talking about?
Can't even remember that. Can't even remember what the preacher said.
That's right.
That's all I got to say about that. Let's keep it moving. So in the wilderness, they had I am, which is God. They also had the church in the wilderness, and they had the Sabbath day, and it was perpetual. And you would ask your preachers, how can God? The book said he what? There are two things he cannot do. He cannot break an oath. And he cannot what? He cannot lie.
Cannot lie.
Let's go to Leviticus 23:1, and let's look at some other attributes of this church. Because this is the church, the real church.
Hallelujah. That's right.
Leviticus what?
23:1. Deacon Baker.
Yes, sir. And the Lord speak unto Moses, saying,
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation. Even these are my feasts.
A convocation ain't nothing, it ain't nothing spooky or mystical. A convocation ain't nothing but a what? A gathering. Every time these feast days roll around, you're supposed to get together and go hang out with the people of God. One thing I found out about hanging out with church folk is when you get to discussing stuff, the Lord usually send an angel, or he be in the midst, he unravel it, and he show you the thing that you're looking for, the thing that you're missing. You understand?
Yeah.
So the convocation and the gathering together, you know what it does for you? It opens up your understanding.
Yes, sir.
I might have something that Pastor Tate don't have. OD might have something I don't have. Zion Rock over there. I ain't seen, I know Dallas. I ain't seen him so long.
Yeah, right.
He's a good dude. I like it. Brother Dallas might have a piece of the puzzle. Everybody in this room, including the young people, got a piece of the puzzle. If we all get together and we discuss a thing, guess what? It'll come together.
Right.
Your piece, my piece, that's that book. That's what Paul talked about when he talked about the members of the body. Okay, where we at?
23.
Okay, so now he said, these are my what? These are my feasts. Let's get to them. Let's go to verse 5. Go ahead.
And the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover.
So they had the Passover. Really, if you go back and look at the ancient books, it's not called Passover. It's called Passover.
Passover. Yeah.
Because that's what it is. I'm gonna put it down there as Passover because we got two medieval books that are older than King James Version, and there's a reason why I put that on the board because we're gonna deal with Easter in this lesson. Okay, so we got the Passover. Go ahead.
And that's the 14th day. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
So the next feast, these are the Lord's feasts. You're gonna find out after a while. You ain't gonna see Christmas in it at all. Sister Jenny.
No Christmas.
Don't
Precious for her.
So far, these are the Lord's feasts. Okay, what verse was that? Scoot down to verse 15.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the share of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall be numbered 50 days. And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
That's called, the Lord called that the Feast of Weeks. But in your New Testament, they call it what? Pentecost. What does Pentecost mean? 50. That's all it means. Ain't nothing religious, sanctimonious. Ain't nothing ghostly about it. It's just pointing back to what? The Feast of Weeks. 50 days. Huh?
We have Pentecostal churches.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what they call. They name themselves after feasts that they don't keep. Interesting, ain't it?
Yep, come on.
Skip down to verse 20. Is that 24? Go to 24.
And speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of the trumpets, and holy convocation.
So now we got another feast day. All these feast days, and you're gonna be amazed when we get to the New Testament. You're gonna see Jesus doing all these feast days, and then this might shock you. You're gonna see Brother Paul doing it. Then now we got a problem because Paul is the apostle to the Gentiles. Whatever Paul did, the Sunday churches should what? They should be doing. It's gonna get real ugly in here. So some of y'all are gonna need some band-aids. Verse 27.
Also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement.
How many of y'all, who knows what the atonement is? That's what Jesus did for you on what? On Calvary cross. He atoned for your sins, right? So on the 10th day of the first month should be a what? An atonement. We ain't gonna read all that. We got scholars in here. Skip down to verse, is that 27? 33. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles.
So now we got tabernacles, y'all. You are your New Testament believers. Y'all read about all this. Jesus did this. Why? Because he was a Hebrew. Yes. When you start telling people that Jesus was a Hebrew Israelite, they freak out. I don't know why. They were all Hebrew.
Thought they was Jews.
That's right. Now let's go to
39.
Nah, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to.
We did that. Because I gotta make it simple, plain, and it can't be all day. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. And I'm only gonna read a few verses. These are the 10 commandments. This is the 5th chapter of Deuteronomy. We're gonna pick up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 5.
All Israel now.
Okay, I'm gonna pick it up at verse 5 and 5. Go ahead, John.
I stood between the Lord and you at that time to show you the word of the Lord. For ye were afraid by reason of the cry, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other God before me. Thou shalt not make thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above.
So one of the commandments was what? No images. You go in the Catholic churches, you can go in some of the black churches. You got images all on the walls, right? This is part of the commandment. Skip down, I don't want to read all that. Skip down to verse 12.
Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou.
Okay, that's it. So I want to read something for the young people though. Go down, skip down to verse 16.
Honor thy father and thy mother as the Lord thy God has commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
No matter how old you get, you've been given a commandment. You don't just say honor your father because you're afraid of him, because he might give you a body shot or a mouth shot.
Come on.
Honor your mother too. You
That's
know,
right.
and what does that mean? Your mama shouldn't have to call you 3 times, 4
Come
times,
on.
and 5
Come
times.
on.
Your daddy called you 1 time. Hey, I remember I was so terrified of my father, I was hearing things. I'd run to him, hey, Dallas, I'd be like, hey, did you call me? No, I didn't call you, boy. Just in case he called, because he used to crush me. I used to get crushed. I mean, I don't know, y'all get whoopings?
Don't want to think
Or
about
did
it.
y'all used to get whoopings? Back row back
They still
there?
get them.
There's no time in, okay.
Having flashbacks.
I used to get beat up on a regular basis, and then when I got too old to get whoopings, he started punching me.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, I was started getting punched for real. And then I would go outside, man. I was like, but it had made me really aggressive. But what I'm saying, I'm simply, I want to stay focused. I want to make this real plain. You just because you get up in age, it doesn't mean you don't have to
Get checked out.
not just listen to your parents, but you have to give
You have to
ear
get checked out.
Yes,
to what
sir.
they got to say. What does
Yes,
that
sir.
mean? That means even if I don't like it, I can pretend that I'm listening.
That's
There you
right.
go.
There you
And,
go.
but I learned this as I've gotten older. Hold on, guys. I've learned this as I've gotten older. You don't stop parenting your children because they get 20,
Right.
25, 30,
That's right.
40. What happens is, what they don't realize is, as they are increasing in age, you are also increasing in age.
Right.
And the wisdom that your father has, your mother, your grandparents, you might not like it, but they're the only ones that love you.
Right.
Because them cats out there in the street, they'll leave you in the gutter somewhere.
Sure will.
It's always, and I know you ain't like what I'm talking about today, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's always gonna be your friend. Am I right?
Yeah.
Always that person. You ain't got no friends. What you need to start telling your friends is we are associates.
Right. Right.
Did y'all catch that?
Yes, sir.
My friend is at home. My friend, I get to live in his house for free. This is my daddy. I get to live in their house for free. Back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. You used to have to use your mom and them phone too. Y'all remember that?
Right.
I'm telling my age now. You get one, but you know who my friend is? You know who your friend is? That food you eating every day. That's your friend.
That's right.
That car you drive where they dropping you off and picking you up. That is your what? Your free friend.
That's
It's
right.
going in at 18.
That's right.
So if I was you, I start taking pictures of all the things that my friend does for me. My mom and my dad. That's why right about get you a recorder out.
Come on and preach.
So this go in one day.
That's right.
I'm
That's
telling
right.
y'all, so you gonna say, hey, you might not think he ain't nobody. And somewhere down the road, you gonna like, man, dude told the truth.
Told the truth.
I gotta get out, I gotta get a job. I gotta put a roof over my head.
Yes, sir.
I gotta figure out where I'm gonna eat today. Oh, there's a Twinkie right there. That look like you ain't ate all day. That Twinkie's gonna be your dinner that day. But you know you can always go to your whose house, your mommy and your daddy, if they what? If they alive.
Yes, sir.
They're gonna be your friends to the what?
To the end. To the end.
Chucky had something, didn't he?
Yeah.
All right, I'm Chucky. Anyway, where we at now? Let's get back to the. So we got the 10 Commandments. They had all this in the wilderness, and they had a guy who had a nickname who went by I am. Let's read what happened. I want to see what happened to this witness, Brother Moses. Let's go to Exodus 32 and 31. Because everything that's associated with this church in the wilderness, it got Moses' name written somewhere on high. See, you all are a blessed generation. Y'all might get grabbed by the cop. You might get slapped. They didn't do that back in the day.
Right.
They beat you with extension cords, fan belts. Yeah. Am I telling the truth?
Yeah.
Beat you with extension
Plungers.
cords, fan belts.
Plungers.
And if the mother couldn't handle you, they got them uncles over there to hold you.
Come on now.
Somebody held you while somebody else beat you up. I'm
Yeah.
telling y'all what's happening.
That's
Am I
what
right about
happened.
it?
That's true. That's true.
Right now,
Well, no
y'all
love chapter.
check this out. They got something. Y'all got something called emancipation. Y'all can go down and say, "I want to be emancipated from my mom and dad." Whoever heard of such a thing? Right, they want to be emancipated, and then now they can call the police on their parents. But what you don't realize is, you might call the police on your mom and your daddy, but when they get you in that system, you're gonna wish you were back at home.
Man, come on. Come on.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Come on.
I've seen it. Man.
Your mom and your daddy, they beat you up. They'll stop when they see they killing you.
Right.
Yeah. Am I talking to somebody?
That's right.
But that other dude, he don't love you. He gonna beat you to death.
Right. Right.
So you better off getting beat up by somebody that,
Right.
well, he looked like me.
Right.
I did raise him.
Right.
Have a little mercy on this cat.
Right.
That other dude ain't having no mercy.
That's right.
We're gonna beat
That's
you
true.
down. Anyway, Exodus 32
good
and
message.
31.
Great message.
Where we at?
Exodus.
Brother OD, he looked like he read it. Exodus 32 and 31. Come on.
Looks are deceiving.
And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, "Oh, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written."
Now, the Lord must have had, he was hanging out with I am, or Yahweh, in the wilderness,
Yes,
and he must have had a conversation with him and told him, "Hey man, your name has been written in the Lamb's Book of Life." Why is this scripture in here? I put this scripture in here to show you that everything that Moses did, all of this that happened in the wilderness, got his name written where? In the Lamb's Book of Life. This is the first mention of the Book of Life that I know of in the book. But what I'm trying to show you is this. If everything he did in the wilderness got his name written in the Lamb's Book of Life, shouldn't you be doing that?
Yeah.
Think about what I'm saying. So we're going to take a look at the church. Now we're going to come down to the New Testament, and we're going to take a look at the church that Yeshua, or the one they call Jesus, was born into. Let's go to John 8 and 54. So far, Moses was a what? Faithful witness, right? We're going to show you. The church did not change. The church did not change from the wilderness. I like to call this the testimony, because this ain't the New Testament. The New Testament begins when, y'all? When does the New Testament begin?
After Jesus'
After
death.
Jesus died on the cross. That's when the New Testament begins. You cannot have a testament without the death of the what? Testator. So, and they will still sacrifice. As long as they were sacrificing lamb, bulls, and bullocks and goats, you still under the what? The sacrificial law. John 8:54, brother Pastor Tatum, you got a Bible?
8:54.
John 8:54.
Yeshua answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say that he is your God.
Now, they was running around talking about we serve the God of Israel, but when Jesus showed up, they didn't recognize him. They didn't know that they was talking to the guy from the Old Testament. And I'm going to prove it to you. Go ahead.
Yet ye have not known him, but I know him. But if I should say, I know him not, I shall be a liar, like unto you. But I know him and keep his sayings. Your father Abraham rejoices to see my day, and he saw it and was glad.
What does that mean? That means that the Lord had revealed the thing to who? Abraham. Now, Abraham was born 2,100 years before the Messiah came in, before Yeshua or the Messiah or Jesus came in the flesh. That man had some serious eyesight, didn't he?
Yeah.
He saw 2,000 years into the future.
Yep.
Keep going.
Then saith the Jews unto him, thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? Yeshua said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am.
So now the New Testament church got who? They got I am. He was letting them know, I'm the God of the Old Testament.
Yes,
so
sir.
When Jesus showed up with Yeshua, the church was already what? It was already here.
Yeah.
He was born into the church. He didn't start no new church when he came. The church was already there. Can I prove it? The book said that the mother, that Joseph and Mary went up to a feast day, and they couldn't find Jesus.
Right.
Where was he? He was hanging
temple.
out with the doctors and the lawyers. He was in the temple.
Yeah.
So the church, when he came, the church was what?
Already
it was already here. This is one of the biggest hoaxes that they've been playing on the black church for the last probably 130 years, that the church was taken over by the Gentiles on the day of Pentecost. It was already in effect.
Yep.
Last time Zion Rock members cut these on without order here. You gotta wait on Zion Rock, y'all. It's good to see you.
Don't be messing about this.
I know that's right. Okay, so let's get back to it. Let's stay focused. So they had what in the New Testament so far?
The church.
The church looked the same, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Church and I am. Let's go see if they kept the Sabbath. Let's go to Luke 4:14. Let's go, because I'm going to show y'all. When you get through looking at this on the board today, you're going to have to make a decision.
That's right.
Something happened.
It's a good message.
Luke 4:14. If you young people want to read, all you got to do is raise your hand. Y'all look like y'all in shock. Like y'all just, like they woke you up and dragged you out the house. I'm still asleep.
Drag it to church.
What?
That's how you do it.
That's right.
That's right. Look, that same look. My look used to be like this. Y'all look like that. My look used to be like this. Dragging me down the street. That's right. Then I used to be like, hey, not today. I don't feel good. They used to be like, okay, it's 80 degrees outside. I guess you won't be playing. I'd be like, wait, I feel better. Y'all remember that?
That's right.
I feel better. Anyway, let's go to where we at?
4:14.
4:14. On this side, brother preacher, right? What's your name? Yeah, 4:14. Go ahead.
Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, and there went out a fame of him through all the region round about.
Keep going.
And he taught in their synagogue, being glorified of all. 16?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up.
Mm-hmm.
And as he, as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read.
So so far, ain't nothing changed.
Nothing
So far, we got we got the church, and he done went inside the synagogue as his what? As his custom was. You know what a custom is? That's what I do on a what? A
Regular basis.
That was his custom. Let's leave there and go and see if if they had the feast days in the New Testament. Let's go to Luke 22:1. Some woman told me the other day, I said, what was the message on? She said, it was treat everybody the way you want to be treated. I said, you actually got out of bed and went to church to hear that? You should have known to do that. You should have known to do that from a child. Huh? Well, you know, I was like, man, please.
Really?
Yeah, really. You should have do that. Luke 22, and your money in your pockets lighter. 22:1. Luke 22:1, Sister Tatum.
Okay.
Luke 22:1.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
So we got two scriptures in here, right? So the feast of unleavened bread was called what? Passover. So we still got Passover and we got unleavened bread. So far, this New Testament church looks just like the church from the what? The wilderness. So far we running neck and neck. There's a reason I'm doing this. This is the only way that I can show you that something is going on in our generation. Let's leave here and go to Matthew 24. No, let's go to Acts 2. Acts 2:1.
Mm-hmm. On the day of Pentecost.
Hey, don't do that. Tip them out. So hey, when somebody will preach your lesson.
All day.
Yeah, I know, right? So you don't do it to me. Deacon Baker used to do that back in the day. Yeah, him and all the guys. Anyway, Acts 2:1. Who want to read? Anybody feel like? Go ahead, Chris. 2:1.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
So they had what? They had Pentecost.
Pentecost.
So far, we looking pretty good. What you think, Dallas?
Oh, man.
Looking real good here. And this is also called what? The Feast of Weeks. So everything is lining up. The church looked the same, ain't nothing changed. Let's go and see if we have trumpets in the New Testament. Let's go to Matthew 24.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew 24:29. Matthew 24:29. Matthew 24:29. Are you reading today? Right here. What's your name? Did you check your shirt jacket on?
Jacob.
You reading today? Go ahead. Go ahead. Matthew, the 24th chapter of Matthew and verse 29. Go ahead.
Come on, read it, Jalen.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Wait a minute. So when is Yeshua or Jesus going to appear? Before the tribulation period or after the tribulation period?
After.
The book says what?
Immediately after.
So what the lie in the churches is what? He going to come back and rapture the church off the earth before the tribulation period. And you know what? Black folk don't like to be lied to. You know, when they find out, when this thing go down, and they're going to be looking around, why are we still here? Because you didn't read Matthew's 24th chapter and the 29th verse. You had read Matthew 24:29. You could have showed it to your minister when they got up to preach the lesson. You said, wait a minute, you calling Jesus a liar.
Right.
Because they teach you in church. All the writing in red is Jesus talking. Is that book? That's what y'all told. That's what they told us.
That's what they told us.
So if I tell you that Jesus, if I say no, he coming back before the tribulation period, I'm calling God a what? A liar. Go ahead.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
You know why they're going to be crying, sister? Because this is a racist world. Well, only the West is racist. The European Union, America, and her allies. So when that heaven roll back like a scroll, they're going to see what? They're going to see one that got what? Hair like lamb's wool. Feet look like they've been burned in the furnace. They
Yes,
don't like black
yes.
folk. They don't like black people.
Yes, sir.
So when that heaven roll back like a scroll, they're gonna see two nappy-headed gods. Feet look like they've been what? Burned in the furnace. They're gonna start what? Mourning. Why? They mistreated the people of God all these years,
Intentionally.
and now here come two black gods. When that heaven roll back, now these white folk, no disrespect, because we got a lot of white friends. In fact, John Brown, he died for us, and the Kennedys, and anybody else that stuck their neck out for us.
JFK,
All right, all them guys. So we got black, we got Gentile, Europeans, and what you call white friends. We recognize that, we respect that. But with that being said, white folk in this country, they got a real issue with black people. Now they got a problem. When they have them roll back like a scroll, and they see these gods with these afros, they got to make a decision. Can they serve a black Jesus or a black Yeshua? Ain't that deep?
Yes, sir.
And he said, well, what is he talking about? Then, before we came into the knowledge of the truth, we thought he was white. We didn't have no problem with that, did we?
No problem with him.
They got a problem with it.
Yep.
We'll leave that alone, because if I keep talking, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot.
Make it plain.
No, make it plain. They call you a racist, a bigot. We don't want to make it plain. We want to keep it just a little obscure. because we have what? We got white friends. We got white friends all around the world. This is a true fact. I found out that the Negro Question book series is being read by white people. Kind of amazed me. Guy called me from the Bahamas the other day. The one know it. Guy called from the Bahamas. He said, "Man, the Prime Minister is coming to my Sabbath class. I need some material so I can prove that we Israel." He said, but let me tell you a story. He said, I called around the United States trying to get the material. He said, and I stumbled onto a Gentile or Edomite. He said, when the white man got on the phone, he said, I can't help you. He said, but do you know Lee Cummings? He said, no. He said, find him. He know the truth, and hung up on him. Okay. They watching us, man. Anyway, where we at?
31.
The verse.
31.
31.
We at verse 31.
Yeah.
Do we read all of it?
most of it.
Well, let's finish reading all of it. Start 31 over, please. Nah, we didn't read all this. So I'm sorry, sister. Pick up, she ain't said nothing. She's like, yeah. Verse 30. Go back to it. You're doing pretty good. You got a decent voice. Verse 30. Go ahead.
And he shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Go ahead.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
So we got a what? We got a trumpet. This is the seventh trumpet. When that seventh trumpet sound, I can't even spell no more. Since I started translating, look at that. So we got so far, the New Testament church look like the what? The Old Testament church. And this is going to be one of the best lessons you ever had. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you ask the average minister, do you know the history of the church? They don't know it. How do I know? Buying some, what was that name? I don't know, burritos. So I go into the restaurant, I come back out on North Avenue. Guess what happened? I see three Negroes or three African Americans with the Catholic collar around their neck. So I said, you know me, I'm an agitator. I learned that from the Bakers.
Thanks, Stephen Baker.
So when I see them, Dallas, I said, what? I said, what kind of ministers are you? We Baptist ministers. I said, I'm confused. I said, you got on a Catholic collar, but you're a Baptist minister. I said, you are aware that the Baptists are Protestant. He said, no, we Baptist. I said, do you know what a Protestant is? I said, a Protestant is any church that protested the infallibility of the Pope, right or wrong?
Right. I
said, so you can't be both. You can't wear a collar and then claim to be Protestant. I'm confused. Which one are you? Y'all understand what I'm saying? And you go inside the churches, I am throwing some rocks to their head.
That's good. The rocks will turn around.
But all I'm simply saying is you can't be both. You can't be everybody in here that don't go to a Catholic church, you are technically a Protestant. You are protesting the Pope. That's where all the churches, that's where you get all these denominations from. Y'all aware of that, right?
Right.
If they've been in the military, they point that out to
You
you.
see what I'm saying? But again, this is why the title of the lesson is what? The history of the church. I got 15 more minutes. I'm going to get it in. I'm almost done. Where we at? Where we at?
32.
Okay, we're going to leave there. So far, Jesus' church or Yeshua's church look just like what? Moses or Moshe's church. Let's go to Romans 5 and 11. We're going to read one verse. Romans 5 and 11. We ain't gonna rush, John. We got people whose lives out there at stake, and I got a text message today. But they trying to tune in. I'm gonna fix that. Romans 5 and 11. I don't know, Luan. No, Sister Jen.
Yeah.
Oh, she got a bunch of you.
Yeah, she's a teacher, she should read.
Romans 5 and 11. We got it.
All right.
I tell you what, you get Romans
I'm
3.
ready.
All right, go ahead.
And not only so, but we also joy in God through our Lord Jesus Christ, by whom we now receive the atonement.
Oh, so far this thing is like running neck and neck, this church, ain't it?
Yeah.
It ain't went bad yet. You know why it ain't went bad yet? Because the Gentiles haven't been admitted to the church yet. Once them Gentiles got admitted to the church, I'm going to show you. It's going to go bad. It's going to be like a plane crashing. Let's go to look at Tabernacles. Let's go to, I think it's 7, ain't it?
Romans 7.
I'm missing Tabernacles in my lesson.
Oh, God, I can't believe that.
No, Ray. I think it was Romans 7 and 50 something. Not 7, I mean, John, is it John 7? What about you, Tate? You remember? Anybody? Are you all scholars? Verse 1. Sam. John 7 and 1. Go ahead.
After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him.
Yeah.
Now the Jews' feast of the tabernacles was at hand.
So here go Tabernacle. Skip down to verse 14.
14. Now about the midst in the feast, Jesus went up into the temple and taught.
So Tabernacle. They still doing the same thing from the wilderness. Actually, it's like 1,500 years later. Now let's go see if Jesus did away with the commandments. Let's go to Matthew 5 and 17. We're moving right along, right?
Yeah.
Matthew 5 and 17. This is how it's done. All that old conjecture, arguing and screaming. We don't do that, man. That's madness. There's no structure in that. There's no order. Right? This is how you get to the bottom of a thing. Let the book speak for itself.
Yeah.
Matthew 5 and 17. Go ahead, Tate.
5 and 17.
Yeah.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
So they still got the what? 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's see what about this thing with life with Yeshua or Jesus. And when you hear the word Yeshua, all you doing, you hearing the Hebrew name of Jesus. And we got a lot of people in the audience. We got people that call him Jesus. We got the Hispanic church.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear different names. Don't freak out. We're talking about the same person. John 5 and 24. John 5 and 24. Because Yeshua is the Prince of Life. And if he's the Prince of Life, he should have life within himself. John 5 and 24. Lawan, Sister Baker, Lawan.
Leave there any gift before the altar and go thy way first.
John 5 and 24. Uh-oh, went to sleep back there. Looky. I did catch you. But you gonna blast. You should get a picture of her.
You know that.
Who does that? Wendy Williams do that to you. Come on, blast. Go ahead.
5 and
24.
24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life.
We know that everybody dies physically. So he ain't talking about that death. He's talking about the lake of fire. You're gonna have to die once. What is dying? Dying is like going through a door. The only difference is you go through a door, walking through a door. When you die, you gotta go down in the grave. You're just walking through a door. When you wake up, you ain't gonna, a lot of people, they don't even know they died. Because the book said the dead know what?
Nothing.
So you don't even know you dead. So it's like walking through a door. When you wake up, if your life is right, you're going to be with Jesus. If you wake up and your life is not Zion Rock again, y'all. If you wake up and your life ain't real, they strike too, right? They're going to strike y'all out of here. I'm just kidding. I ain't seen them in a while. It's good to see them. Okay, where we at?
25.
Go ahead.
No, it's 26.
25.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live. For as the Father has life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself.
So this guy has what? He also has life, right? He is the Prince of Life. So now let's go look at Paul's church, because all these guys had a testimony. These are all witnesses. So let's go look at this church. We know this church is already in existence, so let's go see what Paul had, because whatever Paul is doing, now this is the kicker part of this lesson. Whatever Paul is doing, this modern church should be doing, because y'all keep saying we follow Paul. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go look at it. Let's pick it up at Romans 1:1. Moving right here. We'll be out in the field. But I want to make it plain today. Romans 1:1. Okay. Oh, yeah, who? Brother Dallas. And the young people, y'all want to read? Just raise your hand and I'll let you read. It's up to you. Go ahead.
Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God.
All right, so they got Jesus, Yeshua, or I am, right? So we're going to put his name right here for all you people who think hey, these guys are doing something else. No, we ain't. That's just, he had a bunch of nicknames. When he put that flesh on, he became Yeshua, Jesus, but in the Old Testament, he told him, I was what? I am.
I am.
Okay, let's go look and see what else. Let's see if Paul kept the Sabbath day after Jesus died on the cross. Because if Paul keeps the Sabbath after Jesus dies on the cross, you got to go back with a new testimony or a new report. Let's go to Acts 13 and 14. Acts 13 and 14. This, the truth is like the circumcision. When you find out, it don't matter how old you are. You got to make an adjustment. Because the idea is you don't want to have fun. You want to be what? Saved. That's right. Hey, I knew. Hey, I ain't going down. I'm gonna stay focused. Anyway, go ahead. Acts 13 and 14.
13 and 14.
Yeah, Hawk.
13 and 14 says, but when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down.
Okay, so what day did Paul go to church? Saturday. But I got a couple more Saturday church services for Paul. I just want to put this up so I don't have to walk back over here. So he went on what day?
Sabbath day.
This was after Jesus died on what? The cross. I can show you another scripture where the disciples went and kept the Sabbath after they put his body in the sepulchre or the grave. Let's go to skip down to verse 42.
42 says, and when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them every Sabbath.
So these Gentiles wasn't sure they couldn't pick a day to hear the gospel. They had to show up what? When Paul showed up.
That's right.
It was on the Sabbath day.
On the Sabbath.
So far, as long as Paul is alive, the New Testament church looks what? It looked just like the church from the wilderness and the church from what you call Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Let's go a little further in this. Let's see if he kept any of the feast days. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 5 and 8. This is how you do it. All that other stuff don't mean nothing, man. What did them guys, you know what the old timers used to say? The old timers used to say that, what was that scripture about a tree that
bears no fruit coming down?
No, it's another scripture.
Axes.
My mom and them used to say, the Christian know this one, that the nut don't fall too far from the what? Tree. From the tree. They're saying, hey, whatever that tree is, that's what you look like. They were talking about your parents.
Yeah.
Corinthians what?
I don't know, I forget.
5 and 8.
Where we at? Go ahead. 1 Corinthians 5 and 8. Go ahead, Sister Lois Banker.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Hold on. So they got unleavened. He teaching them Gentiles what? Unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread and fast.
Okay, but what else is he gonna say?
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous.
Okay, I want to stay here. So unleavened bread is called what? Passover. I just want to make sure we stay focused. So far, Paul and when Paul was talking about the brothers that got drunk, that came down on the day of the Lord. I mean, on what was it called? Anyway, the feast. He was referencing what? Passover. So far, Paul is doing and teaching the Gentiles everything that Moses taught him. Let's go a little further in there. And I don't even have to do this. We already know they had Pentecost because Paul came along after Pentecost, right?
Right.
So far, we're running neck and neck. So let's see what else Paul did. And then we're going to come down to our generation and you tell me if something's wrong with the church. Let's go to, is that Paul? Romans 3 and 11. Romans 3 and 11. We're almost there. This is necessary. This really is necessary. In fact, if I had a bunch of ministers I was teaching, this would be the first class they would get, the history of the church.
It's good.
Huh? Are you gonna be a minister? You don't even know the history of the church. It's like going, I had a job lined up. I used to be an accountant, and I would have got the job. And they told me, the people said, look, make sure you go online, find out what this company does. You know what I did? I went and played some basketball or something. And when I had the interview on the phone, the interview said, okay, do you know anything about the company? I said, well, I have to be honest, no. I was like, well, we'll get back with you, buddy. Never got back with me. Romans 3 and 11. Go ahead, John. That's it, but I said that for a reason. How you gonna be a minister and you work for God, but you don't know nothing about his business?
Yeah, that's true.
Come on, man. This it got to the point where it has become ridiculous. There's some things that we talk about that we shouldn't even have to mention.
Right.
Go ahead.
There's none that understandeth, there's none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way, they are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre.
That ain't it. It's Romans 3 and 31. I'm sorry. Hey, that's okay.
That was a good one, though.
I know. I was hoping that it was going to lead to the scripture. But he kept reading. All right, go ahead.
Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we established the law.
So we established the law. So we still got the ticker. So Paul ain't kicking against nothing so far, is it? Nope. Let's go a little further. Let's go to, we dropped the atonement. Let's go 5 and 11. We already did that. But that was Paul that wrote. Who wrote the book of Romans? Paul the Apostle. So far, We fill it in a little, it's like a crossword puzzle, ain't it? Filling it in, and then let's see if Paul got life. Because that's them the only ones I could find. Let's go to 2 Timothy 4 and 6. And see if he got life. Because he was a faithful witness.
Timothy 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Timothy 4 and 6.
Timothy.
2 Timothy 4 and 6.
Let me tell you young people something. You might think your father, you might think he's a little quirky right now. When you get a little older, you're going to love him.
Sure will.
You're going to be like, hey man, dude drag me around because some of the best gifts that a parent can give you is to lead you in the way of life.
Hallelujah.
That's, you know, and we might not have a whole lot of gold and silver, but we got that real treasure to give you.
Hallelujah.
That's the road map to eternity.
That's
Is
right.
that right?
That's right.
That's no better gift you can give your seed.
That's right.
You know, Big Mama and them gone. The grandparents is gone. We used to be you. We used to be sitting in the back of somebody's church talking about, man, for real.
All right. That's true.
And you get older, you be like, man, they saved me.
They saved me.
Yeah, am I right about the
That's
church?
true.
The church has always saved our what? Our sons. You girls, the daughters don't have nothing to worry about. The edict was, if it was a son, kill it.
Right.
But if it's a daughter, let it live. They think the same way today.
Same way.
Taking the sons out.
Where we at? 2 Timothy 4 and 6. Go ahead, Brother Dallas.
For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith.
We were talking about this earlier. You ain't through yet. I don't want you to look relieved. We was taught. We had this conversation earlier. Back in the day, everybody used to be in church. They'd be in church a year, they backslide 2 years. Be in church 3 years, backslide 4 years. That used to be the thing. There was no stability with young folk. And then you even had some older folk that got carried away with backslide. You hear people call me and say, you still love preaching? I said, what kind of dumb question is that?
Right, like you stopped.
Then I got some friends that don't even keep the Sabbath day. They doing some other kind of stuff. I be like, and my friends be like, well, what you want? I said, listen, man, I'm almost at the finish line. What I look like blowing in Michigan? All I do is fall over the line and I win. Am I right, Bob?
That's right.
This ain't the time to be fake, though.
That's right.
This ain't the time to be woe is me. No, man, woe nothing. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Get up and work every day and get them running.
Right.
Where we at? Go ahead.
Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness.
So he got life, but he gonna say something else. Keep reading.
Which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that loving his appearing.
So Paul did basically everything that Moses did and everything that Jesus did, and Paul, he lined up with the 3 churches. Well, it's just one church, but I say 3 dispensations. Now we're gonna deal with the Pope in this modern church, and then you should be very afraid when you see this, because you're gonna see something. This modern church don't fit the bill. Let's go to Master. You cut their phones off, please. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 11 and 4. Come on, we almost through. Let's stay focused, y'all. 2 Corinthians 11 and 4. 2 Corinthians 11 and 4. My man, good shot. Come on, the young brother right there. 2 Corinthians 11 and 4. Go ahead.
For if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive...
Hold on. So Paul is warning you that another guy's coming along. He gonna preach a what? Another Jesus. What did that other Jesus look like? He had blue eyes. He had stringy hair. And he had what? White skin.
Yes.
That was that other Jesus. And so what the Gentiles or the Europeans, and we're not talking to you people out there that are our friends. We got white friends even in this generation. But because they hated us so much, and they didn't like the way they looked, they tried to make God in their image. Right. So they made him what? Made him white. Keep going.
Whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might as well bear with him.
So we don't have Jesus, this one. So we got the Jesus of the Bible, the Yeshua of the Bible, got what? Hair like man's wool, feet look like they're burned in the furnace. This cat is what? He's white.
Yeah.
So far, we doing bad. This guy was black. I'm gonna make this real plain to you today. And this ain't racism. This is simply the truth.
Right.
He's black. And you just go to Revelations, read the first chapter, the 10th and 11th verse. The one that showed up in Jerusalem, he was black. And the one that showed up in the wilderness, he was black. How do I know that? Because he said, let us make man in our image and what? In our likeness. So if he made Adam as a black man, what color had he had to be? Black. I know what Adam looked like. How do I know what Adam looked like? Because Yeshua, Jesus had a what? An afro and black, and he was black. So Adam was made in his image. He had to be what? Black. Interesting, ain't it? Now, let's go and see about this Sabbath day. Let's go to Daniel 7 and 24. Y'all gotta cut them phones off, man. We recording. Daniel 7 and 24. They got something called vibrate or silent.
Daniel what?
Daniel 7 and 24. And we're going to pick this up because we're going to show you that whoever this guy is, he done commandeered the church. And the Lord going to say something about this dude that's real critical to your salvation. Go ahead, Sister Baker.
7 and 24.
Yes, ma'am.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
So this Pope, when he took over the church, he changed the Sabbath to what day? Sunday.
First day of the week.
This is part of your lesson, the history of the church. This was done in 323 AD. Go back and do your own research. Look it up. See, there was a time when we had no access to the documents, to the history books, and to the real records of this world. So the Lord, he blinked at our ignorance because there wasn't nothing we could do about it. But what did the scripture say? When I was a child, I did what? I thought as a child. I spake as a child. But when I became a man or an adult, I did what? I put away the what? Childish things.
Hallelujah.
You can't be on a cliff, getting ready to go over the cliff, and you going over the cliff because the man in front of you went over the cliff. That's what Paul meant when he said, save yourself from the untoward and what? Evil generation. I tell people all the time, I'm not a follower. I'm a leader. I tell you till you're out. Am I right about it? You can't tell me, hey, we're going to run around the corner and we're going to pull a stick up. No, you're going to run around the corner and you're going to pull a stick up. I'm going home. Hello? We're going to run around the corner and we're going to steal Sister Susie's car. No. You're going to run around the corner and you're going to try to steal that car that got an alarm on it and probably got a pit bull chained to the wheel. I won't be doing that.
I ain't doing that.
When I was coming up, we thought we was gangsters. Them guys had me go down in the neighborhood. I was in this room with about 15, 20 guys. It was about 15, 20 guns in the sink. All kind of Tech 9s, 9mm, 380. I walked in the room. I was like, what is this? What are we doing? We don't know. I said, hey, it's time. I gotta go home. You think I'm playing? I always was that kind of guy. I gotta go home. What you mean? I said, man, my mom ain't going for this. And I went home. That's all you got to do, young people.
That's right.
Just tell them, I'm not doing that. Why? Because my mom ain't and my dad, they not going for it. That's all you got to say. And then when they call you on the phone for the stunt, you know what you say? My father told me I can't come outside today.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Am I talking to somebody? Put it on your dad.
Put it on dad.
Call my daddy and ask him, can I come outside? Dude told me if I come outside today, it was going down. That's for you young women too.
That's
Tell
right.
them, I can't come outside.
can't come
today. Why?
outside.
They told me I couldn't come outside the rest of the year.
That's right. Come on.
Save yourself.
Right.
Hallelujah.
What I did was I moved from one side of the city to the next. I was like, I'm done. They said, what do you mean you done? I said, I quit. I'm going back to college. Y'all crazy. Getting shot, going to the cemetery. That ain't no fun.
Right. Right.
I tell young people, I'm almost through. You got a responsibility if you're a young black male. Your responsibility is to be a father, to be a grandfather, and hopefully to be a great-grandfather. Am I preaching?
That's right. That's right.
That is my mission. That is your mission in life. Your mission ain't to get shot while you 17, 15, 14. That is dumb.
Don't make sense.
Hello? You got a mission. I'm gonna be a daddy. No, I'm not. I'm gonna be a daddy. I'm gonna be a granddaddy and a great granddaddy. If I get lucky, I'm gonna be a great granddaddy. Hello? My crew getting shot. I'm with the wrong crew. It's time to change crew.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute. Them guys with the glasses on. Oh, they living. Okay. I'm gonna hang out with Joe Nerd now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Listen, man. Listen to me. If you out there, listen. I always tell my children, it's okay to be smart. You ain't gotta be weak.
Right.
Being smart don't mean you weak. I was smart and I could box. I was smart and I had pistols. I was carrying pistols when I was going to college. Didn't nobody know because I wasn't bothering nobody. But I was still the same dude, but I was on another kind of mission. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
It don't make you soft to be an A student.
Right.
Or to graduate. I graduated from college and I was still wild. You know it, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I was graduating. My mama came to my graduation. They made me go because I wasn't gonna go. I was like, I didn't get it in the mail. She was like, because I thought I was a gangster. I was like, I'll get it in the mail. I ain't got time for that. That's lame. No, you going.
No, that's right.
Made me go. I got there right before the doors was closing. I promise you, I didn't even believe I was graduating because I was so wild. I couldn't believe I had actually graduated from college. So I sat down, they gave me a program, my name was on the list. My name was on the list. This is a real story. I didn't realize I had graduated until they called my name and I shook the president's hand. And I was like, I graduated from college. And I'm saying this for a reason. It is okay. You'll evolve. If you live long enough, you'll do what? You will change.
It will change. Yes, sir.
We're almost through.
That's right.
Okay, so now let's look at
change.
the feast of the Lord. Now this modern church don't have what? They don't do Passover. No. They don't have unleavened bread. No. They don't do Pentecost, even though they call themselves Pentecostal. They don't do the Day of Atonement.
Nope.
They don't even keep the Ten Commandments.
Nope. Done away with today.
Do they have life? I hate to say it. So, but the feast days they keep is what? Christmas. Somebody get Jeremiah the 10th chapter. They keep Christmas. They keep Easter. None of these days are mentioned. We're going to deal with Easter. Halloween. What else? They keep Lent. Why am I putting this?
Thanksgiving?
I like that. I'll go with that. They keep Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite days. Agreed. She on Zion Rock side, y'all. Hey. So look at the modern church, and you tell me, is there a problem here? So far, we got three dispensations of the same church. But when we come down here to our generation, 2019. It don't look nothing like Moses. It don't look nothing like Moses' church. It don't look nothing like Yeshua, Jesus' church, and it don't look like Paul's church. Then what is this? Hope. This is the great whore. Jeremiah, the book of Revelation, the 10th chapter, Jeremiah 10 and 1. Go ahead. Whoever got it.
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaks unto you, O house of Israel. Thou sayest the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. for the customs of the people are vain.
So whatever these people about to do is vain. Go ahead.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
Wow.
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
That's what they used to do back in the day. They didn't bring the tree to you. You had to go out in the woods and chop your little tree down. Watch what day this is. Go ahead.
They deck it with silver and with gold.
Man, looking
They
good.
fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not.
What this look like, y'all?
Christmas tree.
That's the Christmas tree. Jeremiah lived during the Babylonian dispensation or captivity. That's 587 BC. That was 500 years. That was almost 2,500 years ago. The Lord told you, don't what? Whatever this is vain. Now let's go deal with Easter. Acts 12 and 1. Acts 12 and 1. And then I'm going to show you where this dude is that does all these things, where he's going to end up. He ain't going to get life. And we always got about 2 more places and we're done. Acts 12 and 1. Go ahead, John. Acts 12 and 1. You slow?
Yes, I am.
Can you believe it? Yeah, you got Russell.
I was finished.
Go ahead.
Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the church, and he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword.
Hey, you know what, Tate? I always say this. I knew the mission was dangerous when I took it. I just didn't realize how dangerous the mission was.
Yeah.
Because right now it's chic or it's trendy to be a Hebrew or a Hebrew Israelite. But everybody, that day is going to, a time or a day is going to come where it's going to go bad.
That's right.
You all don't understand what's happening right now because the Lord, He closed your eyes so you couldn't see. The Bible says in the last days it was going to be a famine. Not for bread and water, but for what? The word of the Lord. So what is the Lord doing right now? Right now we have an overflow of the gospel. Everywhere you go, it's a bounty of prophecy in the word. You know why? Because you're going to need it when this thing hit. David said in Psalms, he said, "Thy word have I hid in my heart, what? That I might not sin against thee." This is the time to hide another word. And if you ain't doing it, you're going to be like them 10 virgins. 10 were foolish, 10 were wise. The 10 foolish virgins, I don't even think they were virgins. But the 10 foolish ones, they were doing what? They did everything but what? They didn't want the truth. They didn't want the word. Was it 5?
5.
I thought it was 10. It was only 5 versions.
10 versions.
I'm going to go there, guys. I'm going to stay focused. Where we at? Because we almost through. This is it right here. Go ahead, 12 and 1. Okay, no, you got verse 3. 2. Verse 3. Let's go to 3.
Yeah, we're going to decide?
Yeah, verse 3.
I go with 3. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeds further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
So the subject is what? Unleavened bread and Passover. Now, keep going.
4.
And, okay, thank you. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to four quadrants of soldiers to keep him intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
What's the subject here? The subject is not Easter. The subject was what? Unleavened. Was killing Peter and them after what? Unleavened bread. So they said, well, we're going to kill these cats. He said, we can't kill them right now because it's unleavened bread. So the subject is murder, the murder of the apostles, and the sub-subject is what? Unleavened bread or Passover. Then they said, well, we can't kill them during the feast days because it'll be an uproar of people. So let's wait till after Easter. That has nothing to do with us worshiping Easter or Easter sunrise service. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So we got that. And I got one last place. Let's go to Revelation 19 and 14 so I can show you the end of that man, the Pope. Because everything that the Sunday churches are doing, the Vatican does. And if the Vatican is doing it and they end up in the lake of fire, should you be doing that?
No.
This is one of them lessons, man, where we have
19 and 14?
Somebody help.
Yeah, Revelation 19 and 14.
Is that right? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, OB.
19 and 14.
Go ahead. Close this out.
All right. And the armies which were in
17, my bad. Revelation. No, I'm right. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead.
Stay with 19?
Yeah, 19 and 14.
Stay with 14?
Yeah.
And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
19, verse 19.
Verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone.
Okay, so let's stop, because that we done. I had to take you down the block, up the road, to get you to this.
Hallelujah.
This is the churches that did the high days, the feast days, the commandments, the Sabbath days, they got life. But this one church right here that does none of that, they ended up where?
In the lake.
Lake of fire. So that tells me what? That tells me I need to really take a hard look at what I'm doing and how I'm being led, because it does you no good to go somewhere, show up church, all these functions, and then you not being led the right way. So I know that's a hard lesson, but this lesson we got, that's a TV piece we're doing. This goes out to the world.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate to impact the world from this small basement, and that's real. It's not where you operate from. It's your mindset. And so, anybody got any statements or questions? Go ahead.
But Sunday we didn't get to the when they switched over to the Sunday.
What year was that?
That was 321.
321 and 323.
But the council of what?
The council of Nicaea.
And Constantine. See, the thing is, when you're a child, the Lord don't hold you accountable. But when you become an adult, you get held accountable.
That's right.
You get held accountable for what? Not doing your own research.
Right. Right.
You don't owe a minister nothing. When it comes to eternal life, your soul, that's on you. You ain't gonna stand before God with no pastor or no so-called apostle. All these people with these high-sounding titles. You got to stand on your own. You got to explain to him how you use your time. Did you use your time watching Oprah Winfrey? Did you use your time watching reality shows? Playing video games, smoking blunts?
Come on.
My coin hurt.
You know, and I got you. And as I conclude, I always tell people this. The Lord has allowed you X amount of years on this planet. Every time you sit in front of that TV for 7 to 8 hours a day, you're not getting that time back. You ain't getting that time back. If you do the math, and then you wake up in the future, you done spent 10 to 15 years of your life watching people break up and divorce. So you can't go to the Lord and say, hey, can I get them 15 years back?
Ain't no giving it back, bro. Some allowance for what you went through.
Hold on, y'all. We got a question or a statement. Go ahead.
So what do you suggest that the church of today
needs
to be doing?
The church of the day got, you know what, Sister Jen? I'm going to tell you what courage is. It takes courage when most ministers won't do this. When a minister finds that he's wrong, he has to have the presence of mind or the constituency to go back to, hold on guys, this is important. He has to have the strength of mind to go back to the congregation and listen. This is what I found out, and this is what we need to be doing. They're not gonna hate you for that. What they're gonna hate you for is when they find out on their own. That, hey man, you knew this the whole time?
Right.
You was terrified of the congregation. Generally what it is these guys are terrified of the congregation.
Right.
And that's the best way I can answer you. The best way I can answer you is save yourself.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
We got people in here that were skeptical when they first came. Especially OD. You know, he the Sunday delight preacher, you know? And somewhere along the line, because he was there, I wrestled with this cat a long time. That's a big guy to be wrestling with. I'm telling you. Yeah, but what happened was one day he said, hey man, I see this now. So to answer your question, you take the research back to your ministers and say, look, but if it had never been put on the board like that, you would have never saw the discrepancy or the difference. This is glaring, don't y'all think?
Yes, sir.
It's like this modern church, it don't look like the bride. Because Paul said, I presented you as a what? A chaste virgin without what? Spot of blemish. Look at all those spots on the modern church. So I say that to say this in conclusion. The modern church is not the church. This is not the church, huh?
Antichrist.
Right, we're not. This modern church does not fit the bill, and she does not fit the description of the church.
Right.
So I would take the research back, and I would ask some real questions. You know why? Some of these ministers are being paid. Why would you pay a bum? You would pay a bum.
I'm just
It is, but you know what? This is food for thought, ain't it?
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I was very impressed what you said to the young people. I'm so glad that it was all over the world.
That was good.
Because a lot of them are struggling with what you said.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the way that you put it down, I think it made them maybe understand a little better that, you know, you can't go over your parents. You gotta respect them.
And then when you become grown, your father becomes like your big brother or something. You know, it's like, anyway, I had to choke my son a couple times. I didn't choke him like this. But he got jazzy with me, and I grabbed him by his throat and his shoulder, and I was talking to him while I was choking. I was like, yeah, you know, I was like, yeah, but you know I didn't like that. You know? You might not like that now, but when you become a man, you're gonna look back and you're gonna do your son. Because you don't want to beat him. You don't beat your children like you beat a dog when they happen. Because if you beat him like that, he's gonna grow up like that.
Right.
So I would slap a child. My father didn't believe in slapping. They believed in beating you down. Ooh. So I tell my children, I say, man, you are blessed to get slapped. I wish I had got slapped. But anyway, go ahead, brother.
I got a question. So the Pope, from my understanding, the Pope changed the Sabbath because of sports and football.
No, he changed the Sabbath because the Roman Christianity, they worship a god called Sol Invicta. Mm-hmm. Sol Invicta is the worship of the sun. If you go back and do some basic research, just look up the word Sunday. Mm-hmm. Sunday is the day that the pagans worship the sun god. All this stuff has been hidden from you. See, our fathers, what you all have to understand is 1865 was the Emancipation Proclamation, correct? Mm-hmm. So add 35 years that you get 1900. You add another 60 years, you get Martin Luther King. So what happened? Within a 90-year span, you was not taught anything. You wasn't taught anything. Our foreparents on the slave plantation. So by the time you get to 1960, our fathers still couldn't do what? They still couldn't read or write.
That's right. That's right.
They still couldn't read or write. So 40 years later, it's us. And then you guys are supposed to be, your generation, y'all gonna be the smartest black generation that ever lived.
Right.
So why did I say that? I said all that to say this. We were never taught. That's all I got to say. Is that it?
Yeah. Now, the question is, the Pope. Who is the Pope? Because I look at the Pope, just a politician, somebody that go by and wave.
No, this dude is. I'm gonna show you something real quick. This dude is deeper than that. He's deeper than a politician. What he is he's a servant of that fallen angel. And we're gonna I'm gonna read y'all something out of Revelation, the 17th chapter. And I'm gonna pick it up in verse. I'm gonna start reading it. I'm gonna just read a couple verses.
Revelation 17?
Yeah, it says, verse 17:1 says, there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying, come unto me, come hither. Or saying unto me, come hither. I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And then verse 3 says, so he carried me away in the spirit to the wilderness, And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. Women always signify what in prophecy? The church, right? Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 9. Here is the man which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There's only one church on the earth that sits on 7 mountains. Who is that? The Vatican.
Vatican.
So the Lord calls her the great what? The great whore.
Yep.
And then the Lord said, and y'all ain't gonna like this out there, but the Lord said all the churches that came out, he called her the mother of what? Harlots. Read verse 5. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. The mother of what? Harlots, or really prostitutes.
Yeah.
All the churches, why they called the mother harlots? Because all the churches came out of what? Rome.
Right.
Lutheran, y'all ain't gonna like this. Are we still rolling?
Keep going.
I hope I got some friends out there.
This is good. This is good.
All these churches come out of the Vatican.
Yep.
Lutheran Church, Apostolic, Church of God in Christ,
Baptist.
Sanctified,
Methodist.
Pentecostal, Baptist. Did we miss anybody?
Methodist.
Hindus, Islam. All them churches come out of what? Come out of Rome. There's only one church that didn't come out of Rome. Rome came out of us. Which who? Israel. The first church was what? Israel. Wasn't no other church on the earth. The Lord told you in another place, he said, look, go and ask one end of the earth to the next. Have any man heard or nation heard God speak from heaven and live? And then in another place he said, you alone have I known out of all the nations, families of the earth. Israel. So whatever, if you want eternal life, go back and look at the woman at the well. Jesus was tired. The woman came and said, our father Jacob gave us this land and this well. Jesus said, listen, woman, salvation is of the what? The Jews. You want to get salvation? You got to come see a guy like me, Dallas. You got to come see me sometime. You ain't got to come see me all the time. Did you learn something today?
Oh, yeah, I heard
Thank
this.
you. Yeah, you need to come here, come see us sometime. We used to hang out with you.
I heard this before, you know.
Yeah, well, you know what this